Hi folks, welcome back to Scholarbot Tarot. Just call me Mayfield, and thanks for stopping by the very dusty study space. Also excuse the glare, but I needed some natural light today. So it's definitely been a while. I knew that the beginning of the academic year was going to cause just a slowing of my video production, but I did not expect a full and complete halt in making videos. Whoops. Here's what we're gonna do today. So I typically don't do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and share some life and health updates. Then I'm gonna share with you guys a couple of like video titles that I have been working on, because there has still been some stuff going on in the behind the scenes. And then we'll end with decks that have come into my collection, as well as decks that I'm still waiting on. And full disclosure, I'm 100% going to use that final segment to talk some chisme about a particular deck that I am still waiting on 2 years and counting, which I don't think that's terrible, but just the stuff that has gone on is a wild ride, and I can't wait to share. So all timestamps and any content warnings that I have are going to be listed below, and I'll try to remember to put this in the title cards as well. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So it's really not just YouTube that I've kind of been away from. Of course, I'm still on social media. It was honestly the only thing that was keeping me sane, because as of this recording, I am 3 months pregnant. Yay. That first trimester was a nightmare. I knew that the nausea was coming, did not know about the extent of how exhausted one feels when they are growing an entire person inside of them. I mean, who knew? It's not like we talk about this stuff to each other. But at any rate, it was honestly just a miracle that I even had the energy to go to work in the state that I was in. I'm still feeling a little bit crummy, but I am improving as I figure out and crack the code on what sort of foods like makes me feel less disgusting. I am always on the market for any home remedies that you might have for morning sickness, by the way. So if you have any recommendations, like, definitely let us know in the comments below. Just know that anybody in the comments are technically not doctors, and so just make sure you do your research before you try any home remedies for morning sickness. A fun little story: one of my coworkers almost had me try castor oil for something that was like pregnancy related, but then she's like, "Wait, no, don't do that. That can induce pregnancy." I'm like, thanks, I guess. It's not like I was actually going to take any castor oil, but I appreciate the recommendation. Sorry, anyways, so far I've just been living off of carbs, fruit, and barley water, which is nice, I guess, but you know, I really miss being able to have full meals. As excited / nervous that my partner and I are, I did not anticipate how this nausea was going to just affect like my mental health. For most of my life, I kind of always had like a complicated relationship with food. Weirdly, not as in like an eating disorder kind of way, more like an aversion to specific textures or tastes, and like even health anxieties surrounding what I would put into my body. I don't know, does that technically count as an eating disorder? Well, put it this way, I was that kid who, if you remember the mad cow disease, I wouldn't call it a hysteria, but just the way that that was being reported on at that time, I was that kid who refused to eat hamburgers because I was so afraid of like getting that disease. I'm neurodivergent, and I only bother saying that because that's a very large piece as to what helped me discover, I mean, kind of what my damage with food was. I mean, me being neurodivergent wasn't like the problem per se. It was just the way that I perceived the world, you know? And that led to a way that I interacted with food. And so once I recognized that, you know, instead of it being IBS, it's actually just anxiety, that led to much more productive routes to building up a better relationship with trying new foods and figuring out like what I do like, what I don't like, what makes me feel icky, what doesn't, all that good stuff. I still have my usual safe foods, of course, and I'm for sure that type of person that just imprints on a particular restaurant or like special dishes from said restaurants. But with becoming pregnant, all of that just went out the door. Mind you, one of my safe foods was sushi, so I can't have that anymore. And even sometimes like seaweed just doesn't taste all that great to me. So that's cool. I think the worst part is that since being pregnant just kind of affects what I can and can't eat, it also just completely messed with other areas of my life. Like I can't really go on my morning walks anymore. I had to reconfigure like my entire morning breakfast. And then like weirdly enough, which is like just totally out of character for me, is I had to like incorporate midnight snacks to my routine because funny enough, anytime that I'm hungry, that's when I'm nauseous, which really makes for waking up in the morning a total nightmare. And I think since I'm not eating as much, like my appetite has completely been halved, so I don't really eat as much as I would like to or as much as I'm used to. Oh, good Lord, I get hungry every 2 hours. So every 2 hours is when I'm nauseous, and so I have to just rethink my entire day-to-day functioning around snacking. And I can't tell you how much I hate girl dinner. I want a meal, damn it. And that's not bad enough. This brat won't let me keep down a salad, but will let me eat a bag of hot fries all day. I mean, how does that even make sense? With that said, a lot of my self-care routines unfortunately came undone. And that also included my tarot practice. With the exception of like more informal play, you know, like, you know, holding the cards, shuffling them, maybe doing just a quick sort of like draw without, you know, writing anything down. I mean, yeah, I mean, I haven't journaled like really at all. I haven't been keeping up with any tarot subreddits or tarot marketplaces. And if I have watched a recent video from your channel, it's a miracle if I left a comment. But I definitely left a like though. So due to my health news, needless to say, my videos have definitely come to a definitive halt. Oops again. But once again, I have been working on videos, like just kind of behind the scenes. I'll offer up, maybe, well, you can let me know in the comments if there's anything in particular you want to see first. But I do have my notes here for this one. Here are the following scripts that are pretty much close to done. So I have the Purgatory box where I share with you decks that are on their way out of my collection. I have Pop Culture Tarot and Analysis where I just kind of show decks that are based off of pop culture. There's also some discussion on pop culture discourse for each deck that I think you might find interesting. Two Penny for your thoughts on Madame Clara's Two Penny Oracle and my thoughts on scientific racism and cartomancy. Be Not Afraid, a word on angel decks with a walkthrough of the Angelic Oracle, or excuse me, the Angelic Arcana, sorry. And finally, a book report on the Hoodoo Tarot versus the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot. I'd probably say that the book report is maybe the least done, but I have been getting like some really good momentum out on the script. The Purgatory box is actually the most completed. It was recorded all the way back in August. I just didn't have the time and then the energy to be able to edit it, but it is still hanging out on my video editor, just waiting to be clipped. The Pop Culture Tarot video is actually contingent on one deck that I'm still waiting on, which I'll discuss shortly. But first, what decks did join my collection since I last saw you? So the one deck that I got, yeah, I know, it was just one. It's actually the Marseille Prendevier by Krista Flute. Oh, hey, there's a little bat ring in here. So this is, just real quick, this is the baggie that I'm using to store it in. It was a little baggie that I got from my mom because she likes to make little goodie bags for Halloween. There's a little bat ring in here. That's fun. But it's a perfect fit for the deck because I don't believe the mini edition didn't come with like a box or anything. But this is the mini edition. I mean, if you, well, first let me explain why I got the mini edition. So if you saw my review of the deck, the Marseille borders and the Marseille lines were a little bit of a distraction for me. I'm sorry, like this is super small. So when I found out that there was a mini edition that had neither of those things, I jumped on it immediately. And like, I definitely didn't think it would be this small, but I kind of love it. Like, I just want to hold it most of the time. Like, I just want it I just want it to be near me, and I just want to, like, you know, play with it, because it's just such a nice little size. If you would prefer to see the details in the deck, like, definitely maybe think about getting the standard edition when it's available. But I have a lot of fun with this, and it definitely just kind of helped me out through this incredibly hard time of being sick half of the days. And I think it came out absolutely fantastic. If you're interested in any of the extras, I believe Krista is going to be selling any extras in early 2024, if she has any. So I will link you to my review of this deck, as well as any relevant videos that Krista has on her channel. Her channel is called Auntie K's. I think, I forget if she rebranded. Oh, I should have checked this before I started recording, but I want to say it's Auntie K's Tarot Insights, maybe? That's okay. You'll have a video that I will link in the description below. But yeah, this was the one deck that came into my collection this year. The only other deck that I've been using for informal play, and that's even less so than the Marseille Prendevier, was the Green Glyphs Oracle. Just because, like, I had received it, and I think you guys have seen the video where I discussed that, you know, I have this box, but I haven't really been using it. Yeah, I got the full, like, Green Glyphs box set, and I just didn't really get a chance to, like, work with it. So working with the Green Glyphs Oracle is a lot of fun. Well, I've just been messing around with it and occasionally shuffling it and looking at, like, all the pretty holographic colors, because it's the only thing that brings me joy. I'm just kidding. I wanted to include decks that I attempted to back, because I think this is important. The first deck that I attempted to back was the Grandma Babies 52 Blues by T and Ian. Now, this was a playing card deck in the same vein as the Black Gold Lenormand by the same people. The only difference was it's like, it was a round deck, and it looked kind of like a vinyl record, and I don't know, I kind of like that. Unfortunately, it did not fund, and it would be the second project out of 3 projects that would not fund, which unfortunately meant the end of Grandma Baby's apothecary. And I know that sounds like super dramatic, but I mean, it is true. T and Ian will be closing their shop by the end of 2023. So if you're interested in getting a deck from them, definitely do so literally within the next like few days. And that's assuming that I got this video out on time. So definitely check their stuff out if you want their Lenormand deck. I think that stock is running low. I've been thinking about maybe getting a copy of the 2nd edition, and I might, but yes, definitely check out their shop before they close for good. Second one is the Black Femme Tarot by Illuminati. I was super excited about this one. I think I even mentioned it in one of my other videos about Kickstarters that I was interested in backing. And it was honestly the only thing that I was interested in at that time. The Black Femme Tarot was already an impressive deck that had a lot of detail and thought put into it at the time. However, it was a little out of my price point, but the price for like the mini edition was like way more affordable. I think it was like $35 like US dollars for a really nice sparkly updated deck. It was going to have like I think in the standard edition it's like pink gild, like a really shiny pink gild, but the mini edition was going to be gilded in like blue, and it was going to have like these like shiny sparkled visuals on them. A lot of the art was also going to be updated. I think it was with just different colors and just generally updated art. I was honestly shocked that this didn't meet its funding. So I was just kind of thinking about it for a little while, and I remember coming across Benabel Wen's blog post about the state of the union in the tarot community or something like that. I'll make sure I link that as well. And based off of Benabel's musings, it seems like a lot of us are being extra selective about the decks that we are incorporating into our collections, which of course that's not a bad thing or anything like that. However, from these 2 projects, it does have me wondering if we as a tarot community are kind of burnt out on supporting like Black creators specifically, or perhaps there's just not enough of us who are excited about the work enough to like help with the marketing. Although I guess that would require a beta copy, huh? Either way, it just really sucks because a lot of like Black tarot artists have pretty much closed up shop, I think. Or have just been super quiet. Like, it's not just Grandma Baby Apothecary. Lolu's Akamara, like, her shop has been closed for I think longer than intended. Hurricane Mystic is still kind of missing in action. And I bet none of you guys noticed that Andrea Furtick's Afro Goddess Tarot was up for pre-order. And like, I recognize that sometimes a pre-order listing doesn't really mean too much, especially if you haven't heard any buzz about it, but I think I'm still gonna throw my hat in the ring and pre-order that particular deck from Barnes & Noble. But yeah, I noticed that and I'm like, how come no one's talking about this? But thankfully, I mean, it seems like Courtney Alexander has been just a little bit more active on social media since the last the last time that I've spoken about her. So that's kind of nice. I don't really know what I'm doing with this information. I think I just wanted to say it out loud. For decks that I'm still awaiting, I have 3 of them. 2 of them are on track. The first one is the Dobby Hawks Tarot. So I'll tell you more about this deck when I receive it, either in the pop culture analysis video or in its own unboxing video. Sometimes you gotta do videos for you. But in short, it's a deck that's based off of two supporting characters in the anime My Hero Academia. And yes, this is technically, no, it's not technically my first anime tarot, but it is an anime tarot that I am like purposefully bringing into my collection for me. But at any rate, I found out about it on Twitter. I want to say sometime in like May. It had to have been like late spring, early summer of 2023, and I pre-ordered it almost immediately. It's currently in its shipping phase, so I can expect it within the next month or so, and I'm really excited about it. So we'll see how that goes. The other one that I backed was the Deleted Worlds Tarot. I backed that one on Kickstarter, and I backed it this year, and two things sold me on it were, this is a more important one. I feel like it's a worthy replacement for the Hexen 2.0 Tarot. If you don't know what that deck is, like it is one of my holy grail tarot decks, and it's the deck that kind of inspired me to want to collect my own tarot. Like, it was the lesson that I learned that, oh crap, like a tarot deck can actually go out of print, a mass market one no less. So that particular deck had a lot of like conspiracy, technology based kind of concepts in the cards, and the Deleted World Tarot is very similar to that. And I would argue that the Deleted World Tarot seems to be a lot more fun than the Hexen 2.0. So that'll be fun to take a look at when it comes in. It just ended funding a couple months ago, I think. So I don't expect to get that one anytime soon. I'm just kind of enjoying the ride for now. But the second reason that I decided to back it, and I hate that I have to say this out loud, but it's not an AI generated tarot deck. And I'm only saying that out loud because usually when you have a tarot deck that specifies that it's based off of like technological concepts, they are usually AI generated. So to learn that this one was not, and that it was human made, was definitely the reason that I totally pulled the trigger on that one. So yeah, we will see when it comes in. Okay, now for the Chisme. I know, I am not a drama channel, I say to myself, but I just can't help it. I need to talk about my experience waiting for the Palmira Campagna Tarot deck, because it is an ever-evolving nightmare to watch. The Palmira Campagna Tarot was successfully funded on Kickstarter in November 20th, 2021. I backed the deluxe box, which was roughly like $50 US, and it came with, well, it's supposed to come with a deck, some pins, and like a fancier keepsake box. Even back then, based off of the stretch goals that kept unlocking, this was a pretty ambitious project. I think we unlocked, I think the campaign got so big that we unlocked t-shirts, we unlocked extra prints, and I think we unlocked extra cards. And I think there were like at least 12 of them. At least. I feel like the number is bigger than that though. But many of those stretch goals that we unlocked were going to be freebies for anybody that backed it for a deck. I was a little nervous about it at the beginning, because usually when people start like doing t-shirts, that's almost like a telltale sign that something's gonna go wrong. Thankfully, that's not the case. Like, I have seen a successful campaign go through with, you know, giving t-shirts or, you know, having t-shirts as like an add-on, so that's cool. But anyways, like, yeah, super ambitious, but everything was actually coming in like within that several months of production after the campaign had ended. So that sounds like pretty promising, yeah? An update even specified that everything except for the cards were pretty much ready to ship. So that was 2 years ago now. In that 2 years, here's where we are now. And I have my handy dandy script here. Here's the situation. So Campagna is currently on her third assistant, or collaborator, who has promised another update pretty much any day now to address questions in the comment section and show the current process that they're on right now, which most backers are not impressed with. A lot of folks are getting kind of jaded with every update that comes out, and we were already shown the process that they're on, I think, last year. We haven't heard anything directly from Campagna since October 2022, when her second collaborator introduced herself. That second collaborator, who's a backer herself, when announcing her leave, admitted that Campagna pretty much stopped all communications with her and also stopped paying her. Well, there's plenty speculation regarding like Campagna's mental health. It is technically unknown as to why she stopped responding to her collaborator. Furthermore, Campagna herself has not actually logged in to Kickstarter since August 2023. Nor has she been really active on her social media platforms either. Which on one part, I totally get. Like, there are a lot of mean comments that don't really spark joy or motivation. But at the same time, it is her project. Like Campagna said so herself, this project has her name on it. So based off of the fact that she likes to specify that this project has her name on it, Campagna has, when she was doing the updates herself, she was always pretty upfront about how particular her process is. And one of the things that she really wanted for her deck was for it to be printed in a local, like Mexican like printer, which like is totally fine. And everyone was on board and super excited for that. However, we did find out that the local printer already has all the files. Like, Homeboy is kind of ready to print when she gives the green light, but she hasn't really done it yet. Supposedly, their current process, which I alluded to earlier, they're on some process of cleaning the cards, which I admit that I don't fully understand what that is, even though there was like a video showing what that process is, which I promptly ignored because at the time I was still like, it'll get here when it gets here, you know? And to an extent, I'm still like on that boat to a certain extent. But anyways, and also they are trying to get the formatting right for the booklet that's supposed to come in like 3 different languages. So there's a lot happening in the details, I guess. So currently, this project is pretty much just a sitting duck with a lot of backers entertaining the idea of legal action. Now that you know where we are, I think you should maybe know something pretty important about, cultivating a community. So when there is no consistent communication to keep people in the loop, they have a tendency of, gathering all of the information that they can possibly get and just kind of forming their own conclusions in an effort to really figure out what's going on. Some will just like make stuff up because, if you need to like find closure for being potentially wronged, like you want to make sense of that. And I only say that because there have been just a lot of accusations from the comment sleuths that have just sort of come up from the last year or so. And I wanted to share those to you guys and see if I don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm definitely not trying to do the drama thing. I think I myself am trying to check where I'm at, but we'll get to that a little later. Um, but hey, I mean, just check me as I continue with with this list of accusations. So, accusation number one: Campagna used money from the campaign for her vacation in Europe. Her first collaborator was her boyfriend at the time, and he had already had like a time span for when he was no longer going to be involved in the project. His job was specifically to give all the updates, and I think to do a couple of other things that included like the communication element. I'm not sure um, if that was supposed to be like for business stuff too, but the updates was the main thing that we would see. Um, so when he was gone, he and Campagna went on a trip to Europe, which I guess is where he lives. That's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but her update regarding the reveal of the Europe trip, as well as the fact that her first collaborator was her boyfriend, was a little perplexing because it almost sounded like it was this big reveal, which nobody really asked for or cared, I don't think. At any rate, she admitted that not much had progressed. She said that the trip was already planned and something that she was planning on doing because they expected that the deck was going to be done and shipped already, and they didn't expect, the campaign to grow that much. And she just admitted that she needed a break from, according to her, the nonstop working on the project, which again, that's understandable. But then she said this. She says, "I'm sorry you don't think I deserve a break. I'm sorry you don't understand how I do things." Just really weird stuff that just came out of left field for me. And none of the backers at the time gave her shit about being on vacation. They were super understanding as far as I could tell. And no one in the public comments really accused her of using like any of the money for her vacation until recently when the next accusation came up. I also like that I just realized I don't have my mic right now and I'm unsure of how this is going to sound. So I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm gonna re-record this because I'm very hungry, and as y'all know, I'm getting nauseous. So let's just keep this going. Anyways, accusation numero dos. Campagna is out of money and can't afford to print locally in Mexico. The accusation continues that she's allegedly selling some of the backer rewards on Mexican shopping spaces to fund more of the project. The second part of this accusation in particular came up last year in 2022, and this year in 2023 in different forms. So in 2022, backers caught wind of this Mexican bazaar that she was going to sell her merch at, as indie artists do. But there was, I believe, a miscommunication or this incorrect assumption with the venue that she was going to be selling her deck there, which led to many of the backers thinking that her deck was already printed and she was just gonna sell it before sending it to the people who backed her project. So some backers who are local to that bazaar ended up going. They were in attendance to investigate and ask her some questions about the project, and they eventually confirmed that they were not. This year, however, someone found a Mexican website that advertised one of the backers' rewards as a purchasable item. I believe it was a pin. Whether a backer who found the website purchased it or not is a different question entirely. However, her third collaborator insists this is not the case, which unfortunately nobody believes. Real quick, with regards to running out of funds, someone in the Kickstarter page comments hypothesized that Campagna didn't run out of money per se, but perhaps waited too long to give the green light to the printer. so inflation probably just got the best of her. I fully understand that this is pure speculation, but I really do think that this is one of the more plausible explanations. As for selling backer rewards, I'm not sure. Like, I can definitely imagine her selling extras, but I can equally imagine someone counterfeiting her designs and selling it themselves on a website. I'm incredibly curious on how the new team is going to explain their way out of this one, though. Also, this is just my personal opinion on approaching IRL specifically to get an update. I feel like it's a little inappropriate and mildly violating. Like, I know we paid for a project that is to produce a reward, but I don't think catching her out in the wild is a great move. Like, there was also another backer who reached out to anyone who promoted her project, including her mom, the first collaborator, who we know is now her boyfriend, and a close friend of Campagna, and I don't know, I know I'm just one person on the interwebs with an opinion that probably means nothing, but I don't know if I like that. I will admit, however, that contacting the printer was fair game, though. I would definitely call that ethical. That's actually how we found out that the printer has all the files and is ready to print, but just doesn't have Campagna's blessing. Accusation number 3. The second collaborator and the third collaborator was Campagna the entire time. This is probably the dumbest and maybe the more irresponsible accusation, because it's actually gotten to a point where a few backers are beginning to accuse other backers who are maintaining grace and good faith of being Campagna in disguise. It's wild. Campagna herself has admitted that she has immense social anxiety when it comes to like reaching out to a bunch of people, which is why she needed collaborators to run the updates in the first place. And it definitely shows. At the height of her handling her own updates, she tended to over-explain. That's why I was so caught off guard by her describing her process of working, and also when she, explained to us that she was on vacation. I highly doubt that she would have the stamina to send a message through planted alter egos that bought into the campaign, no less, where she could be dedicating that energy to just working on the project herself, Accusation number 4. This one is maybe my favorite. The Kickstarter was a scam all along, and Campagna is laughing in our faces as she refunds only the people who are brave enough to call her out on her BS in order to silence them. This is basically an extension and the most extreme version of the first accusation, but I felt like I had to bring it up. So basically, in 2022 and in 2023, there are a few backers who are particularly nasty about this whole mess and just say the most outrageous stuff about Campagna. Like, she's laughing at us, she's a thief and a scam artist to use our money for Europe. Needless to say, it's weird because there are some days where I agree with it, but, well, not this one in particular. There are some days where I think that maybe she used a little bit of the money for the Europe trip, but at the same time, I don't think that that's the case. Like, when I let my logic brain, take over, I kind of doubt that. But at any rate, just this iteration of the accusation just sounds so cheesy and cartoonish that I snorted when I first, read it. By the way, it came from an email that one of the other backers got from that backer who got refunded for just being super loud. Like, if you look at the comments and any comments from previous updates from 2022, I think, you will notice that there is a slew of this backer canceled their pledge or something like that. And that was one backer who was copying and pasting just the accusation that, Palmira Campagna scammed us and is selling the deck on some Mexican shop or whatever. That's what that is. And that's probably where that email might have come from. That's my hunch. That's my accusation. But again, it's allegedly this person. Not that it really matters. But yeah, like when you have a customer or a follower who's being super toxic, like no amount of financial support in the world could justify their behavior, you know? So it made sense as to why Campagna refunded them, even when the refunds are seemingly not really an option. Those backers weren't silenced, they were cut off. And more importantly, I think the reason why I don't think this is a scam is because there was way too much done during the crowdfunding process for it to have been a scam from the start. All of the art was finished. There were, coherent stretch goals that would be unlocked at specific thresholds. And Palmira Campagna was honestly really, really I guess receptive to a lot of the comments she would get. She would always respond to them at that time anyways, because she was excited and she had help at that time. If you remember the Marvin Tarot, that was a scam from the beginning because there were only a couple of cards with no information and no engagement from the campaign's conception. But yeah, this art or this project with all of its completed art and enthusiasm, at least in the very beginning, I think that was meant to happen, and it still might. Who knows? Now, what if I'm wrong? Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I would just prefer to be a little bit more productive with my frustrations and choose to give grace. And before anybody accuses me of being Palmira Campagna, I'm obviously not. And I mean, giving grace definitely doesn't hurt. If anything, worrying about it to the point of replying pure vitriol to Kickstarter comments and reaching out to the artists family and friends, that sounds exhausting. Now, it's perfectly acceptable to exercise skepticism, and it's totally okay to feel and express disappointment when there is no progress being made for a thing that you bought into. Yeah, as backers, we are completely entitled to offer feedback where it's warranted. But once that feedback turns into personal attacks, I think that's when it's no longer productive and actually does more harm than good. I mean, what do you think is gonna happen? You're a thief, and you're a scam artist, and you're evil. Yeah, you're right. I should probably get back to work. What did you think was gonna happen? I do acknowledge, or I want to acknowledge that I am privileged enough to lose $50 from 2021 and be okay, while others spent a lot more and might not be fine. But I think the amount of eager energy put into proving someone is a scam artist when it doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense just doesn't make sense to me, If there is something that I am genuinely concerned about, it would be that the completion of this project would be halted from sheer spite. Again, Campagna hasn't logged into the campaign in a few months, as of this recording anyways, and based on the language and tone she said in explaining the Europe trip as well as updates from around that time, it does make me question her maturity. And honestly, between the different allegations that she's been receiving, she probably wouldn't want to finish a project that's for an audience that includes her cyberbullies, for lack of a better term. It also doesn't help that her supporters who are offering her grace and choosing the benefit of the doubt when they can are also being made fun of by some of the louder opponents. I mean, some of her backers think that the nice people are Campagna in disguise. It doesn't really give anyone an incentive to encourage her, And all of that negativity is not much incentive for an artist to want to finish their product. I replied to a Kickstarter comment on the campaign page, hoping that this product or this project like would just pull a bone stones and just randomly appear in my mailbox one day. And I didn't realize like how funny I was being because I revisited an older video from uh like a supporter of Avalon when the Bone Stones and Earthflesh was in production, and there are kind of a lot of similarities between Avalon and Campagna. Like there were, anything that could go wrong probably did go wrong. Like I know that for Campagna, a lot of the stretch goals were coming in, but there was still so much work that needed to be done with the card art itself. A lot of reworking stuff, at least for Campagna, anyways. I don't know about Avalon because I know that she has a different artist. But I mean, just the fact that there were constant delays that might not be explained very properly or not explained at all. Um, the creators don't really quite appreciate any negative feedback that they may get. And damn it, they will let you know. But either way, I genuinely hope that there can be like a positive outcome of some sort from this project, since I, for one, am not interested in seeing anybody fail. All right. Now, thank you for letting me get this off my chest and for listening to all of my other updates that are important, I guess. Feel free to let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments about anything discussed today. Just be sure to make discourse, not war. Not like I just did, anyways. I'm really crossing my fingers that I can build my strength back up to want to record and edit for as long as I can. I have no clue what afterwards is going to look like, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, folks. Until next time, bye.